It's just there was I guess Forbes wrote an article, and Forbes wrote an article, and the headline literally says the cultural war surrounding the Rings of Power was more interesting than the series itself.
Yeah, true. It's true.
And and the thing is, I think it's just people. It's the same thing that what Henry Cavill said, right? It is. It's not. It's not that. It's not because the fans are toxic. It's because of passion, right? People who are big fans from day one, who are extremely passionate to what the original was and how good the originals and the books were. It's that the fact that you made something like this is just people are just going to talk about it. And what I think when it comes to sort of like trends, right? Like if you go to Twitter and you look up trending, trending does not care about whether or not if it's good publicity or bad.
Or bad.
Publicity.
Yeah.
So whatever bad publicity is good publicity. That means people's talking about that. That's how it's trending. So this is a 7-minute read. Let's go ahead and take a gander. Before it even aired, The Rings of Power was engulfed in controversy. Tolkien fans were alarmed to hear that Jeff Bezos now held the rights to the beloved IP in his small-like
talents.
That's amazing. Especially after it was revealed that Bezos intended to replicate the success of HBO's Game of Thrones. And I said this before in our previous podcast. You should not want to replicate it. You should want to go above and beyond. You want to be better. You want to make your own version, not replicate it. You want to be better. But the fact that Amazon only had the rights to the Lord of the Rings appendices, a summary of the Second Age, none of the Tolkien stories was another concern when Tolkien scholar Tom Shippey mysteriously left the series after serving as a consultant. Fans grew worried, that the adaptation would not be faithful, more focused on building the Amazon brand than respecting Tolkien's work. Yeah, so they basically fired Tom Shippey. I believe he's a Tolkien scholar. Like, he's one of the well-knowns, and they just fired him. I'm pretty sure he was like, no, you shouldn't do this.
Yeah,
no, what are you
for
doing?
sure.
And there's like, dude, shut up. Just get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I thought too. That's what I think that happened too.
Oh, man, that sucks. The fact that it's sort of like when you have a person who knows everything, right? It's sort of like he's a resource. He's a well of resource, and he's basically an encyclopedia for Tolkien.
Yeah,
and you fire him. Like, you know what? We don't need your shit.
Yeah, I bet he was surrounded by people like very close-minded to criticism, because there was a point in my career where like I moved to this local company. Of course I'm not gonna say, but it's like all I did was like say out suggestions on what we can do better, and here's what I think about this and that. Like my immediate supervisor, he was furious. He was like, he made me go to his office, like him shouting me, berating me why I said this, why I said that. I did not mean it. Of course, I did not. I said it in a way that's, of course, polite, and I meant I had the best of intentions for it. Yeah, then I ended up leaving in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I left in two. I imagine that's what happened to him, only probably in a more larger scale.
Yeah. So the thing is that I think JD Payne and Patrick McKay, this is like their first. I believe this is the first thing they worked on. Like,
yeah,
I believe you actually go to their IMDb page. I believe they have like minor credits and like 2 or 3 things that does not really care about anything. But I believe they are like under Bad Robot, which is under J.J. Abrams. Yeah, so now you have the Bad Robot. That's sort of like they're basically doing most of the work, and they're basically giving it to Amazon so they can show it. So you have these two people who are being told you're given this incredible IP to work with that comes with a fan base. Do whatever you want with it. Just make it good. Just make it like Game of Thrones. Make it awesome. And that's the direction that Jeff Bezos gave those two. And then so they have this sort of entitlement in their head saying that whatever we do, it's going to be awesome. They let that power go to their head is because Lord of the Rings is such a big franchise and a big IP to get a hold of. Whatever criticism that they will get, they will just they don't want to hear it. It's because it's because they don't care, right? They're like, dude, who are you? It's sort of like there's a story about James Corden that's sort of like you let the success get to your head, so you can treat everyone that disagrees with you like shit. So I'm just like a lot of people who are in this industry who are in power, especially like your previous boss, um, they're not there for you to give them feedback or criticism. They're there for you. You are there for to give him compliments and agree with him, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's where people who get sort of power hungry, right? Someone in chat says, "Oh my god, nightmare boss."
Yeah,
Yeah,
bros. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely
That
awesome.
was my low point in my life, honestly.
All right, let's continue. Not to mention Peter Jackson's near perfect Lord of the Rings trilogy raised the bar incredibly high. The fans saw what happened with the disastrous Hobbit trilogy, which cynically stretched the short children's novel into a little more than 300 pages into a 3 bloated blockbusters, showing that corporate greed could easily taint Tolkien's legacy, even with Jackson's involvement. So I recently rewatched the first 2 movies of Hobbit. Compared to the Rings of Power, those are a masterpiece.
For sure.
those are
Yeah.
good, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, at least those felt like Lord of the Rings. It's
Uh-huh.
because I think Peter Jackson was behind it. I'll say if Peter Jackson was like a consultant along with Tom Shippey, I think it would feel like Lord of the Rings. You know, maybe as Peter Jackson as like a person that like they needed like they used a little bit of like he was like, hey, what do you think about this? How's the look? How's the feel of this? And he's like, so you can actually feel like the show is a part of the bigger universe that is Lord of the Rings. But I don't think they wanted that. It's because they don't want. I think they just wanted to do their own thing, and this is our vision of what we think this should be. When the first trailer of Rings of Power dropped, the reaction was overwhelmingly negative. Shoddy CGI and an emphasis on floaty, weightless action sequences hinted that the worst fears of the fan base were coming true. Commentators on YouTube spammed the trailer with point, quote, falsely attributed to Tolkien. Evil is unable to create anything new. It can only distort and destroy what has been invented or created by the forces of good. And I believe that is the quote that everyone used a lot. So Darren Grae on Twitter mentioned a huge effort to drown the YouTube comments of the Rings of Power teaser with this Tolkien, quote, evil cannot create anything good. It's not a Tolkien quote. It's from a TV tropes page about Lord of the Rings. Oh, the irony. Of course, you think that this is like a it's like, oh my god, you guys are so dumb. You guys don't know anything about Tolkien. And I think it's whether or not it's a by Tolkien or not, it's a very good quote. And
Yeah.
I think that definitely explains it, right? And this guy posted only got like 23 upvotes, which is that's probably pretty bad. The diverse casting of the new series also sparked a loud racist backlash. Tolkien's world, like many fantasy worlds, is a place of racial essentialism, and the fan base has always been infected to some degree by racists. While Tolkien described his own political beliefs as leaning towards anarchism, which is anarchy, which is like anti-government, right? You don't want any you don't want government to take control of you. You want freedom, complete autonomy, right? A left-wing ideology which aims to abolish hierarchy and openly despise the horrors of Nazism and apartheid. And the far right has always found his framing of orcs as irredeemably rotten savages and elves as noble spreaders of civilization rather than appealing for obvious reasons. I don't think that's the case. I think people just misinterpreted.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Tom Shippey would have been a great person to sort of like, that's not what it is. Even though, so it's sort of, the creators probably did this purposely, right? To make sure that they get a jab back at the people who are like against, like who thinks that, oh, if this is what the right people think, if this is what these racist people think, let's change it to, that will be like a, take, a jab at them or something like that. I have a feeling, but I think it's misguided. Okay, so the One Ring, so the One Ring.com, I think I believe this, the One Ring, I think banned like Nerdrod, Geeks and Gamers, a bunch of them already. On Twitter. So Tolkien was an anarchist opposed to the government overreach. My political opinions lean more of that anarchy. Philosophically understood meaning of the abolition control, not whiskered by not whiskered men with bombs. So I believe Tolkien was alive during World War II, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the reason why I understand that. He's talking about Germany and what happened with like Nazis and stuff. But Amazon pushed back against the racist backlash, and subsequent trailers were far more polished, promising an adventurous return to Middle Earth with an eye-watering budget that aimed to replicate the production quality of the blockbusters, including the cost of securing the rights. The series cost no less than $750 million, according to the Wall Street Journal. Leading the Rings of Power was labeled the most expensive series ever made. I think it's now considered the worst expensive series ever made. I think there's a lot of people who did not like it, especially if you go to Rotten Tomatoes. Was it? I believe there's like 86% critics and then like 38% like audience.
Oh yeah, and it says the actual cost $715 million for one season. So
yeah, that's insane.
500 million is the cost of the production of season 1, but the remaining 215 is the acquisition of the rights, which I've only heard Ryan Kinnell mention it. Like everyone else doesn't mention. Yeah, so it actually season 1 actually costs 750 million, not 500.
Oh shit, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, if you factor in the acquisition of the rights.
Yeah. After the first 2 episodes dropped, critics were impressed and the public reaction was mixed, somewhat muted by the slow pace of the series. But the backlash remained loud, and the show was review bombed by trolls, which led to Amazon taking an unusual step of locking user reviews for 72 hours, which sparked criticism that a powerful corporation was blocking public feedback. A show had inevitably become a high-profile battleground for the ongoing culture war, becoming a popular topic for reactionary YouTubers to rant about. And then you got Kyle R's Sabo. It's not a fetish, not really, but lately, as a treat, I've been watching some of these Tolkien YouTubers who make weekly freak out videos about each of the videos of Rings of Power. So I'm pretty sure we're amongst them, but we're so small. I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, for sure.
As the series progressed, it became clear that a significant portion of the audience was only tuning in to hate watch, making fun of the storytelling and pointing out the deviations from Tolkien's canon, which were sometimes inconsequential and other times ill-advised. You got Tom Emanuel. This quote crystallizes and what irritates me so much about the Silmithril. It imposes a rationalizing of hard magic logic onto the Middle Earth's soft magic system. Rather than letting enchantment simply exist in the world, it attempts to explain it and ends up being goofy. Yeah, I believe the stupid mithril thing was stupid. Like, the reason why we need these mithril, that the elves need it, is because you need it to make sure that like the light of the mithril can get rid of the darkness. And the thing is that so all we need is a tiny piece that's only given to fucking Galadriel. Only she has it, and then all of a sudden, you don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't know. Maybe in season 2 they're mining more for it, but as of right now, the only person who actually has it is Galadriel, because I'm assuming she's the one who has the ring that has the mithril.
The ring that has it, yeah.
Yeah. There's also a disproportionate amount of anger and mockery directed at Galadriel. I don't think before I read forward, I think Morfydd Clark did a good job at playing a character that's not likable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she did a good job at that.
Yeah.
And if her direction that was given to her to act like that was to be not likable, boring, and think that you're better than everyone, she did an amazing job at it.
Yeah.
A spiky, disagreeable character whose obsession with Sauron drives the main plot line of the series. By the end of the first season, Galadriel's paranoia is proved correct, but her actions have sparked disastrous consequences. Galadriel is instantly labeled a Mary Sue and a Karen and became a focal point of angry fans. Day 4 of hating Amazon's Rings of Power, Galadriel is nothing more than a combination of Mary Sue and Karen wrapped up in a generic fantasy wannabe male hero. And then you have another one over here. The writing is awful. It's like that they're talking in high poetry the entire time, and it's bad. Nothing, and no one seems well thought out. And the action is terrible. Mary Sue is for Galadriel timeline. It's all jacked up. People seem to teleport, mixed races and tribes, and makes no sense. Oh, and then you get neurotic right over here. Of course, this was Galadriel's idea to make it was Galadriel's idea to make the 3 elven rings Tolkien is spinning in his grave. Yeah, right. We must make 3. But here's the thing, though. Who else also talked about it? Exactly, right over here. Elon Musk. Elon Musk,
Mhm.
the richest person on earth. Right? At one point, Elon Musk joined in, tweeting that Tolkien is turning in his grave, complaining that all the male characters were unlikable and that only Galadriel is brave and smart and nice. I'm not sure if this is sarcasm, but she's not any of those 3. Maybe stunning and brave, but not brave, smart, and nice. Right? As weeks passed, the critical segment of the fan base continued to complain, while those who enjoyed it kept fairly quiet. The show never really managed to seize the zeitgeist of failing to inspire popular memes or social media discourse beyond hate watching. Soon, it would become obvious that the series was being outshined by HBO's House of the Dragon, which managed to retain the quality of the Game of Thrones best seasons. Okay, Game of Thrones best seasons are like 1 through 4.
Yeah, exactly.
5 is pretty good and 6 is pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. One to four, 1 to 4 is peak Game of Thrones. Yes.
Yeah.
There's also someone in chat. How much was Game of Thrones? So I searched it up. House of the Dragon's budget per episode is 20 million. Compare that to Rings of Power. Okay, let's not consider the 215 million rights. Let's just put it at 500. 500 million divided by 8. So it cost them 62.5 million per episode for Rings of Power. More than 3 times the cost of one episode
crap.
of House of the Dragon. And yet House of
Holy
the
crap.
Dragon is killing them. It's like the difference is so huge. Like House of the Dragon is only available in like HBO Max, compared to I think Rings of Power, which is far more accessible compared to House of the Dragon. So yeah, it speaks volumes.
Yeah. I think okay, so here's the thing. Yeah, I think Amazon, everyone has an Amazon account. At least everyone, at least they're either using someone else's Amazon account or they know someone who has one, versus HBO Max is like, oh yeah, I don't have that. It's because HBO Max is like one of the more expensive ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I believe HBO Max is like $14.99, right? And that's back in the day. I'm not sure how much is it now. It's because I remember when I got HBO Max, like 3 or 4 other people were using it, right? And versus Amazon, I think I have over double digits people using my account. It's because Amazon Prime and the delivery. But
yeah,
to be honest, not a lot of people actually use Amazon to watch shows, right?
Yeah.
The only people who actually do it is like more of the people who actually want to watch it. But majority of people who have Amazon Prime use it because of the fact that the 2-day shipping. I think that's about it. And everyone just uses Amazon. Like, of course, like if you see their stock like completely rose during the start of COVID, and it like 100% Grae. Like you hit that, you hit the nail on the head. It's just the fact that you have a show that can only be watched here versus and it's just people, because it's a new program that people need to subscribe to versus something that they already have. So
yeah,
it sucks. Yeah, it's Rings of Power is just it's just you have so much, you have the opportunity to do it and you sort of fucked it up. Rings of Power wasn't the flaming disaster that naysayers had predicted, but it wasn't particularly good. Indeed, few were still talking about it, and the show's haters seemed to be driving the vast majority of discourse, while earnest fans of the show were accused of being Amazon shills. Ultra gay biker dad. Nice name. Even the woke media shills can't defend Amazon's Rings of Power. Amazon can't buy reviews and delete reviews fast enough. Already low viewership continues to shed. It's so much more than the desecration of Tolkien's work and the lore breaking. Everything woke turns to poop. I believe that quote was actually said by Trump. I think he actually said everything woke turns to shit. But so the thing is that if you have this person saying this and you know, it's just look right here, 84 to 38. It's like it just goes to show, like, and that's the reason why what's it called again? Rotten Tomatoes removed the ability to actually start rating the show is because of Amy Schumer, right? Amy Schumer, she let out like a what's it called again? A comedy on Netflix, and it didn't do good. And she complained and stuff like that, and it completely removed it. And like the star rating system on Netflix, that is. And then you have the whole thing with like Captain Marvel and stuff like that, and then people start review bombing, and then you can't actually go ahead and review it earlier because people are like saying your fans are actually, review bombing stuff, and it sucks. And so it's just really sad. Yeah, travel the ring wraith. Imagine being so toxic that you literally cannot fathom the possibility that people who saw the pre-screening of Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power actually enjoyed it and think it's actually good. No, that can't be possible. They had to have been paid off at Amazon. Clearly, they are shills. I think that's sarcasm. And look, I think people are allowed to hate something, right? I actually got into I guess a little back and forth between one of my friends on Facebook, and I posted that a segment that we did. Galadriel is the reason why the show sucked, right?
Yeah.
I posted that on Facebook, and then he said, "I really like the show. I do not get the vitriol," and I basically told him, without saying that like the show sucks or anything. It's just I'm actually giving him points. Like Galadriel is a not likable character. I found it to be boring, and she is just that's just me. Like I do not like her. She's very unlikable, like, and the show's boring to me. And he said the reason why she likes those kind of shows where like you have the main character that drags everyone down with them, right?
Okay.
I'm like, well, so I responded with, if that was the point, that the creators wanted Galadriel to drag everyone down with her is because she's a terrible character, then they did a great job. Is because why would you make your main character unlikable? And the thing is that all the other characters are not really likable either. Yes, some that are like a little bit stand out a little bit more, but like majority of the show, it sort of sucks. It's not because it sucks, it's because it's just I don't like it. It sucks is because it's boring. And a lot of things that they do are sort of like it's just really bad writing, and you make the character just I don't know. Morpher Clark did a great job for being an unlikable character.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Do you talk about like the Rings of Power to like your friends or family or something like that? Like do any of them watch this?
This is the thing. No. No, that's why. House of the Dragon is more of a shot if I ask people around. But generally speaking, I know people liked it here also, House of the Dragon, because it came out in my Twitter trending. So I think Twitter Philippines trending. It actually, House of the Dragon actually trended. So I didn't look into it more because I like the show too. So yeah, it was no surprise to me. But Rings of Power never comes up because the thing here in the Philippines is like Amazon is not a thing here. We only got free shipping very, very recently. Free shipping from Amazon. Okay. So it's like because we have our own e-commerce sites here, which Amazon didn't take advantage of while it was still early on. So anyway, yeah. So the only reason you would go for Prime Video is if you really, really want it, which I think is a small demographic here, because here it's for it to click really on a massive scale, it has to be like something of like local drama shows or K-pop. That's what will really hit here. If it's stuff like House of Dragon, Rings of Power, it's not gonna do. It'll probably do okay, but it will not do astronomically well. Okay. And Netflix is really more of the dominant streaming, and other streaming services that provide Korean shows. That's what clicks here. So Amazon Prime is, I imagine, it doesn't have a large presence here. So unlike you guys, that Amazon Video likely comes with Amazon Prime because you guys really use Amazon a lot. Here, it's more of like a luxury rather than the Amazon Prime Video being bundled, which is why I think it's the exposure of Rings of Power here. Although I did see a huge painting in one of the power plants here. It's like when I on my way home driving in the highway, it's like, whoa, there's a really, really huge poster of Rings of Power. So they did try to push it, but I think it didn't stick the landing either.
Yeah. Well, generally, the series proved unevenly paced and had a strange approach to Tolkien's lore, referencing very obscure elements of Tolkien's work while deviating significantly from canon. Hence, much of the show felt inaccessible to the unfamiliar with Tolkien's legendarium. While dedicated Tolkien fans were often infuriated by the lore breaking, which led to the series being labeled as expensive fan fiction. During the finale, the sluggish pace of the series suddenly quickened, and the story sped through in some important plot twists, like a student rushing into to finish an essay after midnight. Sauron was revealed to be a guy who looks like a default option of Harry fantasy RPG character. That's
Which is
amazing. He does. He looks very.
it does.
Someone in chat says, have both of you gotten any backlash from friends and family for not liking the Rings of Power? I have gotten not backlash, but they said that they liked it. And the thing is that if you're from and how I responded was, you can like it. I'm glad you like it. I just don't like it. Okay, I'm not saying, oh, if you like it, you shouldn't like it. I'm not saying anything like that. But I have gotten 2 or 3 people in the comments where I posted on Facebook saying that they really liked it. They thought that the show was interesting. They thought the show was great. And I think they're both just happy that they're getting anything Tolkien, in my opinion. What about you, Grae?
And with regards to anything movies, TV series, or anime, in my opinion, there's always going to be this group of people who just like, they come home exhausted from a day's work. They just want to watch something on TV, on their screens. Then they're not really like us who like to dig deep. They like to go nitty gritty in the details. They just want to get entertained. It's like, so they end up just freezing their brain. Okay, it's like it looked nice. So there was some writing there. There was some character interaction, and that's it. That's good enough for them. That already qualifies as good. Which for me, sometimes, admittedly, I feel that way, especially with superhero movies, like especially with DC stuff. It's like, I'm not as harsh in critiquing it compared to your standard movie critics. Like, oh, why wasn't this implemented, or why was this character like this? Like, sometimes you just wanna freeze your brain. Like, okay, I just want to watch something entertaining. Like, I just want to see 2 people fight each other. That's it. That qualifies as good enough. Compared to, let's say, playing a video game. It's like, if a game is riddled with bugs, riddled with crappy writing, people are gonna call it out more compared to movies or TV series, because in a video game, it's like you're jumping in with the expectation that it'll run well, compared to movies where you just sit there and just watch. That's why I think it's more polarizing for movies and TV series compared to video games. So there's, no matter how bad it is, like you can put a picture of an apple and someone will like it. I think that's what happens with regards to just watching it, rather than compared to video games where there's some level of interaction involved. So yeah, there's always gonna be that someone that's gonna be okay with it by a certain capacity at least.
Thanks for checking out this segment of the Project Eggroll podcast. If you like what we do here, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you will know next time when we go live. We do go live every Saturday at 8 p.m. Once again, we are just getting started. Tons of more video to come. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next time.